Hi, today is Friday, which means Sunday is Mother's Day. So I'm going to do two breakfasts, which of course, ladies, you know you're going to have to go and get the ingredients and you're going to have to nudge everybody in your family in the right direction to make this breakfast for you. So I'm going to teach you how to make English muffins. They are utterly delicious when they are homemade, very different from what you buy in a packet, and they're very easy to do. So that's the first segment, is the English muffins, and then we will do proper eggs benny, and then my personal favorite, which I'm making to show you, which is really, really easy for anybody who does, for kids to do, is smashed avo with poached eggs on some nice toast. So those are the two things that I'm going to be doing for you breakfast-wise. So we just crack on with the English muffins. I've got 3.5 cups of strong white bread flour here. The recipe says my recipe says 2 teaspoons of sugar. Most of them have a fair bit of sugar in. I have cut that down to 1 teaspoon. I don't find it necessary to have so much sugar in. 2 teaspoons of salt. So I'm going to chuck that into the flour. And then I'm just going to mix that up because yeast, as you know, does not like salt. So we're just going to thin it out so that it doesn't impact it by that. I have got tepid milk. I have just taken the chill off the milk from the fridge, and I'm using milk because I don't have buttermilk. This is a buttermilk recipe, so if you can get buttermilk, great, but if you can't, make your own. And it's literally a little bit of apple cider vinegar inside there, which is going to curdle it a bit, and that's pretty much what you want. So we're just going to give this a little stir, and I've got 2.5 teaspoons of instant yeast, which is going in. So this is 1.5 cups of milk, which is just going to go in, and it's a little bit chunky now from the apple cider vinegar, which gives it, buttermilk really is just that lovely sort of almost sour flavor that you get, and it is a lovely flavor enhancer and good for these kind of recipes. So this is just a quick mix in here. Then I'm just going to give it a quick knead. In the meantime, I've got a baking tray ready with polenta. So once we've made our little balls of dough, we are going to flour it in inverted commas with polenta, which gives it that lovely grainy crust. There are many recipes that use quite a wet dough. I am going to add a little bit of flour to this because I want it to be a little bit firmer than this. So I'm going to incorporate a little bit more flour in through kneading. And I'm doing it slightly firmer because it just helps them maintain their shape. I've got a ring, but ideally you need 12 rings so that you can let them grow inside the ring, which is what you do for crumpets, for example. But I only have one that size. So I'm going to make it slightly firmer, which gives me a little bit more control over my end product, so that they're not like pancakes, for example. Right, so roll up the sleeves. And then we get stuck in. Just be careful that you don't make it too stiff. You can feel it as you go along and draw in the flour as you need it, But this does need to be kneaded for about 8 minutes, 10 minutes or so. You need those glutens to stretch because that's what's going to give you the characteristic holes that you get in a muffin. So I've been working this for about 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and I've incorporated quite a bit of flour, just by being on the surface. It's still very tacky, as you can see, but it's firm enough for me to now leave and I'll be able to work with it. It's beautifully soft and elastic, but obviously having the higher moisture content is necessary for the kind of crumb that I want. So I'm going to leave this now to prove for about an hour and a half. It needs to be double in size. I'm just going to spray it so that it's slightly protected, and then it will sit and double in size, and then we will get on with the rest of it. So this is an hour. I'm just going to break it down and take it out, and then we're going to section it into equal balls, and then we're going to put it onto the tray, dust it with polenta, and let it rise for another 30 minutes. And then we're going to start cooking them. Just going to flour this lightly, just so that I can get a little bit of resistance while I separate it. So I want to get about 12, I think. So I'm going to cut it in half, and then try and get 6 out of each and see what the size is. Yeah, so I'm going to do it into 12. So this will obviously grow. So we've got them almost the exact same size. I'm just squishing them to make them tacky again, rolling them in balls, and then I'm just going to flatten them a little bit, and then I'm just going to press them into the polenta and put them aside, and I'm going to leave them here to rise. So here we've got our 12 muffins. We're going to cover them and leave them to rise for about 30 minutes. So this is after 30 minutes, and now that you can see they've risen beautifully. And now we are going to, I'm heating up this pan, and then we're going to fry these. So you cook them on a cast iron pan at high heat for about 8 minutes till they're nice and brown, and then we're going to finish them off in the oven, so that because they'll rise a little bit, and you don't want the middle bit to be gooey and disgusting. So that's kind of how we do it. We are going to transfer them carefully so that they don't lose their shape too much, but that's one of the reasons I wanted them to be slightly firmer. So the polenta has made it easy to pick them up. And I don't want them to deflate, so I'm just going to put in 4 at a time, because I don't have a bigger pan than this for cast iron, and leave these now to do their thing for about 8 minutes. So these are nice and brown, and my heat was quite high, so it's less than 8 minutes. Now I'm just going to flatten them a little bit, so that you get that traditional muffin shape. And then we're going to let this brown on the other side, and then we're going to put them in the oven. So the total time would be about 8 minutes, sort of 3.5 minutes on each side. Looking lovely. And I've got my oven preheating at 175 degrees, and I've got a baking tray in there. So now I'm just going to take these off and leave them here so that I can bake them all. You can see the color underneath. And then I'm going to put in the next lot. You can see how much they rise during the cooking of this part. So here's the baked muffins that I've done. I've cut it in half, and then now we're going to toast them, because this is what you're going to do before you put your eggs benny on. So here they are out of the oven, and here we've got our toasted muffin, which we will deal with when we do the next part, which is the eggs benedict. You can see how incredibly easy this is to make. So to make your own muffins, let them cool. The ones that you're not going to eat on the day, freeze, because any home baked goods are never really that nice the next day, because we don't fill them full of preservatives and things. So these freeze perfectly, take them out, let them defrost, toast them. You can have them with, you know, butter and jam or marmalade if you don't want to have them with eggs benedict. English muffins, what can I say? Perfect Mother's Day thing. You're actually doing the work and presenting it to Mama. We will now taste one.